In 2002, Sony and Marvel Entertainment released Spider-Man. Directed by Sam Raimi and written by David Cope, Spider-Man was set to be his first live-action appearance in a big-budget feature film, as he only appeared in several TV movies and shows beforehand. It's safe to say that Spider-Man's debut to the big screen was long overdue, as the idea for a Spider-Man movie had been stuck in development hell for years. At the time, Sam Raimi had no idea how to translate Spider-Man to the big screen, and the script was supposedly not in great shape. Although the film faced an uphill battle, Spider-Man still managed to open to critical acclaim and amassed a total of $821 million worldwide. It's safe to say that the film was a massive critical and financial success. Sam Raimi's unique vision and style, coupled with David Cope's writing, allowed for many elements to be introduced that still define the Spider-Man trilogy today. Elements like Peter's organic webbing, the iconic Spider-Man suit design, and incredibly creative action sequences. However, there was a brief possibility that some of these elements may not have made it into the final product. What elements ended up being cut from the final film, and was it the right call to cut them out of the movie? Join me today as I attempt to look over almost everything that was cut out of Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man movie. Without further ado, let's get started.
Fly! Up and away, web!
Spider-Man's web shooters are probably one of the most popular fictional objects in pop culture, only rivaled by objects such as the lightsaber from Star Wars and the Dragon Balls from, well, Dragon Ball. First appearing in the pages of Amazing Fantasy number 15, the web shooters have forever stayed one of Spider-Man's most important tools in his limited arsenal. Well, until they were replaced by organic webbing in Spider-Man 2002, a change that surely took a lot of people by surprise. Now, the idea of organic webbing wasn't exactly an original concept invented for the movie, as the idea was explored upon in James Cameron's unmade Spider-Man movie. However, before organic webbing cemented itself into the film, web shooters were at some point considered for the movie. This is based off the fact that a few pieces of concept art drawn by James Carson showed many different and unique web shooter designs and concepts that were considered for the film, with one of these concepts looking extremely comic accurate to the one seen in Amazing Fantasy number 15. This web shooter concept did actually make it into the film, as you can see it in a brief shot from the E3 2001 trailer, and once again briefly in the official trailer. The fact that there's actual footage of the web shooters does show that Peter built and used them at some point during the film's production, but were at some point cut out. Sam Raimi supposedly made the change to organic webbing because it made more sense for it to be a part of Peter's mutation and not something he made himself.
The Amazing Spiderman!
Probably one of the most iconic and defining traits of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films is the spider suit itself. Its sharp triangular and reflective eyes, the ray silver webbing, and the large prevalent back logo helps capture a striking and iconic figure. However, this design almost didn't make it into the final film, and we almost had something completely different. Now, this black and red suit concept was created specifically for the 2002 movie. The suit was originally designed and drawn by artist David Williams, and the design was later refined by Alex Ross. However, a lot of people tend to dub the suit the Alex Ross suit instead of the David Williams suit. This suit has an almost uncanny resemblance to the suit worn in the 2014 comic series Superior Spider-Man. The black and red color palette and the pitch black eyes were definitely an interesting creative choice. It does help the suit look a lot more spider-like and creepy when compared to the more traditional white lenses. I'm gonna assume that the suit almost made it into the final film and was highly considered, because 1. The suit can actually be seen for a very brief moment in the original E3 2001 trailer, showing that they at least had a physical suit ready. 2. Expanding upon my last point, a physical version of the suit was actually made for Tobey Maguire's movement double. And 3. The suit was featured as an alternate skin in the Spider-Man movie tie-in game. Although the actual suit wasn't used, the idea of the black lenses did almost make it into the film. The black lenses were actually included in an early version of the suit, but they were ultimately cut in favor of the more traditional and less, scary white lenses. There were other alternative suit concepts designed for the film, like this one created by Tev's design studio. This concept is definitely interesting, to put it lightly. I like the huge spider symbol and I like the huge bug eyes, but I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the webbing being so prevalent, especially around the blue sections of the suit. The next suit concept looks like it tried to ditch the idea of a fabric mask and replaced it with a sort of helmet-like design that opens up like a pod. I can see what they were trying to go with here, but it just doesn't work if you ask me.
Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
Next up, we have the Green Goblin. Now, the design they decided to go with in the film was definitely interesting. It was a green full-body armor with a giant goblin mask. The armor idea did make sense, as Norman was working on several different military projects. Plus, the look is iconic, so I'm not one to complain. Now, the most defining feature of the Green Goblin suit is the helmet. Although the design was very distinct and striking, the helmet itself had one solid expression the whole time, so it didn't really leave much room for different facial expressions as compared to the comic version. Well, that's the problem Studio ADI tried to fix with their animatronic goblin mask. This mask allowed for full-on emotional expression while also having the added benefit of having those expressions be extremely exaggerated and stylized. I really love how comic accurate the mask was, but also how creepy the mask could look in certain lighting situations. Unfortunately, the mask never made it into the final film, the two main reasons being that William Dafoe found the mask uncomfortable and the mask was a bit too scary and supposedly scared children, which could explain why a lot of the concept arts ended up being unused. A lot of the concept arts placed emphasis around the fear and creepy factor the Green Goblin could bring to the big screen, especially this concept by Warren Manzer. It was comic accurate, but still fell in line with the armor approach they were going for. It had the right idea, but the creepy aesthetics just didn't sit well for a film primarily targeted at kids. A lot of the Green Goblin concept arts give him a more tactical and militaristic appearance, with one of the concepts having him ride a UFO for some weird reason. I get that they were trying to experiment with different looks, but I'm eternally grateful that they never made it out of the concept stages. We've already seen what a militaristic goblin looks like, and let's just say we dodged a bullet. Now, one of the most interesting pieces of cut content is the fact that Eddie Brock actually had a presence and made an appearance in the film. Played by actor and producer R.C. Everbeck, the size of Brock's role in the film was unknown, and only one photo of how Brock would have looked like exists online. His scene was ultimately cut from the film, however, he does get name dropped in an extended alternate scene.
Problem is, we don't have a decent picture. Eddie's been on it for weeks. We can barely get a glimpse of it.
Interestingly enough, Dr. Octopus was featured in an early draft of the script for Spider-Man 2002. The concept art depicts him as a more bald-headed and hipster-looking mad scientist than what we got years later. Although I do like this backpack look as opposed to the harness, I think the tentacles themselves looked much more menacing in the final product, so I'm glad they went for that instead. There were some other smaller bits of unused concepts, like these unused variations of the Spider-Man logo. They look good, but they don't hold a candle to what we got in the final film. Although a lot of these concepts went unused in the movie, it's still fun to look at what elements didn't make it into the final product, knowing that if they did, our perception of the Spider-Man trilogy may have been different.